Hello again. After recording yesterday's video, which you can find the URL down below, about how to use AutoHotkey to make your life easier, especially when it has to do with using Perplexity Spaces, I thought it's a nice thing to do and definitely does the job and everything. But at the same time, I thought if you try to scale this, in other words, if I keep adding all kinds of different shortcuts and as time progresses, even if you get 10 of them in place, you just can't remember everything. The Control Shift W to pull up weather report is beautiful, but what if you have another word with the W? That's obviously is not going to fly anymore. So you're going to have to use a different shortcut combination. And so thinking about it, I thought, what can I do to potentially make it so it's actually useful and usable on an ongoing basis, not just this one off, this is so cool, and then nobody uses it because it's too much. And so what I decided to do was I'm going to create a Perplexity space. And in this case, I'm actually going to use it to help me answer questions related to my computer. In this particular case, shortcuts, but basically anything to do with my computer. If I'm looking for certain resources on the computer, I can basically create something that'll then help me by just asking a question where it is. Over time, it becomes like a storage place for my thoughts and documents and information, and it makes it scalable. In other words, almost like additional brain, your assistant basically for your computer. And so in this particular case, to show you an example of what I'm talking about, so you can set up your own, I just set up a regular Perplexity Space. As you can see, I called it my computer helper for lack of a better name. And I can say something like, just to give you an example of fun stuff here, I can do the Breaking Bad and say my name. And when I do that, I get, there's Walter White on the right saying it, and over here it says, in the style of who, it shows what it shows. So it's kind of a cool thing to do. And that was something that's specifically programmed into this space, obviously completely useless, but it's a neat little example that shows you can do something like that. And the reason I'm showing you this is because it's an example of what you can do with spaces in terms of custom instructions. So when you set up a new Perplexity space, you're able to add files here. You're able to add, I believe it's up to 50 files. And you don't need to add 50, you can just add one. Like in my case, I call it main perplexity helper info.txt. Regular text file, you can use any text editor you want. You can use Notepad. Notepad is the easiest thing to use. It comes with every Windows box. So you can just use that. And you put the information in there so the thing would know what's going on. So you have instructions here at the top here, which you can edit. You can tell it how you want to respond, so on and so forth. In my case, I told it to keep things humorous. So whenever I ask him anything, he's going to keep a certain humor element in it, which I like that kind of stuff. So this is fine. And I only set up right now the situation with shortcuts, in addition to the some other information, like for example, just to show you an example, I say, what's my son's name, and it's going to come back and it's going to say your son's name is Ben. So it doesn't go and show me pictures of Ben and things like that. I mean, at one point in time, it would be nice if they did that. But it shows you the information right from my file, just to show you an example that it does read my own file. Because otherwise, obviously, how would it know? And so in terms of here for the shortcuts, I can say, what are my shortcuts? And when I do that, what it's going to do is come back with a list that looks like this. It says Control Shift W, and it says this magical combination summons the local weather forecast faster than you can say is the raining cats or dogs. So you see, it's trying to keep it kind of humorous because I told custom instructions to have a certain amount of humor in it, but at the same time, obviously, tell me what the stuff is. And so this is it says summons local weather, and Control Alt D. It says to order food from DoorDash. So if I hit Control Alt D, for example, then you will see it comes up with DoorDash. Let's close that tab. And if I hit Control Shift W, then it'll come up with the weather report like it's supposed to. So all of that is working like I did in the video yesterday. As you can see, it's all there in Bill Burr's style. We have a balmy 50. We're looking at low around 35. So it says grab a light jacket, embrace the chill like a true Washingtonian, basically humorous and stuff, which is exactly what I wanted. So that part works fine. And it tells me exactly what these shortcuts are. Right now, I only put 2 in there. But obviously, if I put 50 in there, then it would just show me the list of all 50. And if I say something like shortcuts, what it'll do, it'll come up and show me things like Windows key and Control C, Control V. So in other words, it doesn't show me my shortcuts. But if I tell it, please show me my shortcuts, then it knows it needs to go and look at what I told it, basically what my stuff is, and it's right there. So that's an example of how you can use a space in Perplexity to set up both custom instructions the way you want to have them, and also add a file, and then it'll take the information from the file to be able to help you with whatever conversations you have with it. So super helpful. Okay, a couple of other things I wanted to mention is when you initially add the file, it goes to the cloud and it doesn't immediately take hold in terms of being able to get the results from it. So just give it a couple of minutes, basically, or a minute after you upload it before you ask questions that have to do with your file, number one. Number two, if you want, you can keep multiple files. Like I said, you can upload up to 50, but I recommend keeping everything in one file, just create different sections for different things. And then put the verbiage in there, like in my case, just to show you what my file looks like. So you have an idea. You pull it up here. You can see it says my company name, blah, 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 my name, my son's name, daughter's name. And it's got my shortcut using AutoHotkey, my shortcuts using AutoHotkey, and it's got local weather shortcut, shows what it is, and then all of that. So as you can see, it doesn't show it back to me exactly how I wrote it, but it's smart enough to figure out how to grab it and then show it to me in a readable and nice form, like over here you see here. Okay, so basically just enter the information and then it'll be able to respond to you. I'm going to be definitely building on this file, and I'm going to have all kinds of stuff related to my computer, like, for example, some folders that I set up out there and they don't remember where exactly I put them in a sequence and things like that. So it's nice to have this ability to be able to chat with this particular space, and then anything related when I set up a new folder and I set it up in certain structure, I can just tell it where I'm putting it. And then later on, when I ask it, where did I set up a folder for such and such, it'll just tell me. And so this would be super, super helpful, super useful. So I recommend you do the same thing. One final thought about these files that you can upload. Keep in mind that when you make changes to this file on your computer, it doesn't automatically update the space. Okay, it's not like it's a dynamic update or anything like that. So what you want to make sure is you want to make sure that every time you make changes to the text file that has all the information, then you want to go ahead and jump into the settings, basically into the space itself by clicking on the name. So I was sitting in a thread. Let's say I'm sitting in this thread, and you have all the different threads as you can see it. So it shows me here the name of my um, space, and then next to it, after the slash, it shows me that particular thread. So if you want to go and change something in the space, you click on the space's name, and then on the right side here, you have both instructions, which you can click here to edit, and you got all the sources. You have files and links. I'm not sure exactly what links are for. In other words, what use of them would be. I haven't figured it out yet, so I just put my website in there just to have it, and then maybe at some point in time it'll become more uh, understandable what it's for. But the files is definitely super useful, and so this is where you can add these files. You just simply click on the plus next to files, and then over here it says search files. You can search for files. You can click to add files, and you can just drag them directly in here. So, and to remove the file, you just click on the little menu here, and it's got remove right down below here. So the idea in terms of how you would work it is you make changes to your text file using your editor, and then you come here and you remove the existing file, and then you simply re-upload the new file. That's all. And that's how it's going to update it. And then you're going to have an update button. click on the update, and then it's going to go ahead and update it, and you'll have new information. So that's basically how I set up this computer helper as a space in Perplexity for my use on my computer. I think it's going to be extremely helpful going forward. I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but one of those things, live and learn. And so if you have any questions about how to set this up yourself, or any of the stuff I said was not exactly clear, please drop it in the comments below. So give some thought to how this thing works. Once you understand how it works, which is not that difficult, then probably you'll think of some other ways how you can use it for your own benefits, for your own uses. Perhaps you want to set up a space for your residents and then easily be able to get to them. But remember, you're talking to something that's intelligent, that's able to access the web, and something that's able to access your documents. So we're talking about a completely different brain structure in terms of capabilities and access to information than we had before. So think about it from that perspective, and then I'm sure you can figure out all kinds of different ways how you can potentially set it up to be useful. The only caution I would say is don't set up hundreds of these spaces, because then again you have a problem, but you're not going to be able to keep track of them unless you put them in some kind of other either space that'll be like the aggregate, or you put them in some other app to keep track of. But you should be able to get just a few set up that are really, really useful for you. And you can use them for business, you can use them for personal use, however you want to use them. Again, thank you. And until next time, I'm Oleg.